Why don't you see? Why can't you understand? I've been waiting for so long. For what? In the meantime, I could have contracted some advantageous marriage and born sons, which is a woman's greatest consolation in this life.
When Anne learned that the divorce was delayed, she broke down once again. She started blaming Henry for his incompetence and even mocked herself for believing in such a stupid fantasy. Henry was also filled with self-blame. All he could do was constantly comfort her. But at that moment, Anne was no longer willing to believe anything he said. Finally, she angrily stormed out of the palace. Watching the woman he deeply loved leave him, Henry grew even more disgusted with the current queen. So he went to Catherine's room again, wanting to force her to step down on her own.
Catherine, you must accept the inevitable. The weight of academic opinion is against us. We were never legally man and wife.
Hearing her husband say she was his brother's widow, Catherine felt angry and heartbroken once again. But to keep her position as queen, she had no choice but to humble herself and speak respectfully.
Sweetheart, by all the angels, I was intact when I came to your bed.
All right, so you were a fucking virgin! That's not the point!
Even though she degraded herself this way, she still couldn't win her husband's sympathy, because at that point, Henry no longer cared whether she was a virgin. He only cared about getting a smooth divorce so he could marry his lover. Seeing that his wife still refused to agree, Henry turned his attention to the Pope.
I am a man of faith, Your Eminence. God forbid His Holiness should ever turn his back on me.
His message was crystal clear. If the Pope refused to consent to the divorce, then all of England would abandon the Catholic faith. This put Cardinal Wolsey in a very difficult position. He had just received orders from his superiors telling him to delay the divorce until next October. That way, they wouldn't offend the Queen's family in Spain, and at the same time would ease England's growing dissatisfaction with the Church. But clearly, he underestimated Henry's determination to get divorced. Because the moment Henry learned that the divorce had to wait until next year, he immediately ordered a break with the Church. At the same time, Anne, relying on the king's favor, became increasingly arrogant in front of crowds. She even publicly cursed Queen Catherine.
You know, I sometimes wish that all Spaniards were at the bottom of the sea.
Mistress Boleyn, you should not abuse the Queen's honor with such language.
I care nothing for Catherine. I would rather see her hanged than acknowledge her as my mistress.
But even so, no one dared to speak ill of her because they all knew Anne was about to become the new queen. After all, everything the king had done to marry her was obvious to the entire court. The king even imprisoned Cardinal Wolsey, the man he once completely trusted, trying to force the Church to give in. And Anne didn't just want the Queen's title. She also wanted to use this opportunity to persuade Henry to establish a new church. At this moment, she was urging Henry no longer be controlled by the Pope.
The presumption of the Pope, thinking he could tell you, what to do.
To strengthen Henry's resolve, Anne even gave him a book written by a heretic.
The king is the representative of God on earth, and his law is God's law.
After reading the book, Henry felt deeply inspired. He had submitted to the Pope's authority for so long. Now he believed this was an insult to his dignity as king. So he decided to overthrow the Pope's authority and launch a reformation. Although the direct spark for this movement was Henry's divorce, its real cause lay in the long-standing struggle between royal power and ecclesiastical authority.